very special conference summary presented by Ms. Joni Teves. She is a Chief Precious Metal Strategist at UBS Investment Bank. It's a very difficult task because she has been through all the sessions, taking notes painfully, for all of us to present the conference summary. A round of applause inviting Ms. Joni Teves.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am just hoping that with over $1 billion that the Singapore government is going to invest in AI, next year we will be able to use AI technology in the precious metals market to do this summary for all of us. But to also, just in case my boss will see this video, to also justify my existence as an analyst, I thought I would change things up a little bit this year. And instead of summarizing the conference chronologically, I thought I would just pick out some of the key themes throughout the conference and the key insights that I think are quite important for us to take away. So starting with the overarching themes throughout the past couple of days, I would like to borrow one thing that was said during the special address by Mr. Howe on the ASEAN market. So being at the right place at the right time. And talking about being at the right place, I think we are at the right place in the ASEAN region where, and I have to say this is where it's at. As a region, we represent about 4% of global GDP. We're the top 3 importer and exporter in volume terms. And we are probably one of the last bastions of free trade in a world that seems to be deglobalizing. We are a young economy, average age of 31. I'm very pleased to hear that. I can still call myself young. And we have low income per capita, which actually means that there's a lot of opportunity for strong growth and catching up over the coming years. And ASEAN is at the heart of the wider region, which includes China, Japan, South Korea, and Australia and New Zealand. And together, this regional bloc is actually quite an important force globally. Keeping with the theme of being in the right place, we are also in the right place being Singapore. So why Singapore? So Ms. Cindy Khoo yesterday outlined the reasons why Singapore is very well placed to be an important hub for the global precious metals market. There is a diverse mix of players here. Singapore is a great bridge between East and West, and we are very close in proximity to the key markets. And we did hear a lot throughout the last couple of days how Asia has been a key driver for gold demand, and particularly physical gold demand in the past year or so. We are also at the right place in the sense that, it did come out during today's session in the giving us updates on the Middle East. And one thing that I picked up from that is that the future is East. So Middle East and Far East. The future is not only female, but is also East. And again, talking about all the updates that we've heard in the last couple of days, the strength of the demand in East, the movement of activity in the market from West to East has been quite prevalent in recent years. There's a lot of opportunities for collaboration between the Asia-Pacific region and the Middle East. So something to look forward to going ahead. Now, keeping with the theme, at the right place at the right time, moving to the concept of being at the right time, I think this also coincides, this conference in particular coincides with Singapore's 60-year anniversary celebration, where it is a good time in general to take stock of how far the industry has come, how far SBMA has come, and to look ahead to the future as well. So looking back at how far SBMA and precious metals market in Asia have come, Mr. KL Yap mentioned the growth in this conference over the years, from about 300 delegates in the early days to around 600 delegates this year, from 23 companies to 32 companies participating. Mr. Albert Cheng also walked us through Project One, which basically, Project Lion One, which basically laid the foundation, the removal removal of GST in Singapore, for precious metals investments, setting up of a refinery, setting up vaulting capacities, getting companies to set up trading out of Singapore, and then looking ahead to the future, Albert then dived into the details of SBMA's vision, which is outlined in Project Lion 2, where we can look forward to potentially seeing custody services set up in Singapore for central banks and the official sector, having clearing and settlement systems, and basically in the long term, having Singapore potentially become an alternative to London and Zurich as key centers for precious metals trading globally. In keeping with the theme of looking ahead, Mr. David Tate and Ruth Crowell also talked about the gold bar integrity program and how important this is going to be as an initiative to increase trust, and basically by increasing trust in our industry, it will attract investors and give investors comfort to become even more involved than they already are. So Mr. Tate walked us through kind of the 3 digital standards that they're looking to do, which is wholesale digital gold, standardized digital units, and all the HQLA efforts that the World Gold Council is pushing forward along with the rest of the industry to basically improve gold's appeal, gold's investment appeal, and the legitimacy of the industry as an important liquid asset. Ruth also updated us on what we can look forward to with regards to the Gold Bar Integrity Program, where the silver refiners will also start to get more involved, and looking to the future for having a Asia working group to continue to talk about these issues, to build partnerships, and also for more disclosures from refineries about their sourcing information and we can expect that by 2026. And both Ruth and David also talked about what we as an industry can do to help artisanal and small-scale gold miners, basically to help formalize the sector and coordinate efforts with regards to this, so that ultimately we're able to support the vulnerable players that are part of this sector. And one way we could potentially do this is by working with central banks. And there's already a lot of work for the World Gold Council along these lines. Then we move on to the regional updates. And it also actually, the updates that we got from across the region also falls quite well within the theme of, looking back at the developments and looking forward to what we can expect. Starting with Indonesia, who has been trying to integrate gold into the financial system. We've had the updates. We've been hearing about it for the last few years, and now we've had the updates where 2 institutions have now been issued with bullion banking licenses, and they're starting to really put out products on savings, financing, trading, and custodies to the market. And we can only expect more growth along these lines going forward. And then moving on to Malaysia, where we had the update of the delay in the implementation of the high-value goods tax, and the update on the implementation of the e-invoicing, which has led to some losses in sales, but actually the results have not been as bad as feared. And if we look at the demand from Asia as a whole, it's gold demand has remained very strong despite the high prices and all these kind of individual market challenges. And in Vietnam, we heard some very positive news, again, after hearing about the potential, these potential for the last few years. Basically, we have now had the announcement back in May of the abolishment of the state monopoly in terms of gold activities, and now being able to allow gold imports for jewelry, and to waive export tax of gold. So a lot of exciting things to look forward to from the Vietnam gold market. And then moving to Laos, we also had an update, something that we heard about last year's conference, and now we see the results of what was discussed last year. And it's in September 2024, they opened the Lao Bullion Bank, and they're starting to provide services such as gold savings account, safety box, gold certificates, and those being used as collateral, and all these exciting things going on. So it's very, it's very encouraging to see all these developments going on in Asia, reminding us again that we are in the right place. And then finally, also in Thailand, we heard about traders. Traditionally in Thailand, gold activity is done by traders to buy and sell gold. Now these traders are being allowed to buy and sell gold not just in the local currency, but also in US dollar terms. And now these traders are also working closely with banks to offer products to consumers via bank apps, so that even broadens out the reach of gold to even more participants in Thailand. We did get a warning that with this expansion in availability of gold, there's also been an increase in scams, which is probably something that as a region we should be very vigilant about. Now, moving away from the theme of being in the right place in the right time, let's move on to the third kind of key takeaway that I'd like to highlight, and that is on how the markets have been reacting to these price moves that we've seen across precious metals. And firstly, one of the key takeaways for me is that there has been a shift towards investment interest and kind of offsetting the weakness on the jewelry side. So, Asia being a very gold jewelry dominated market, with everything that's going on globally, with the rise in the gold price, consumption of jewelry has understandably come under pressure, but this has been offset by very strong investment interest across the region. And even today, in the last couple of sessions, we heard about how behavior is shifting. Consumers are buying into strength, buying into stronger prices, and that is a very interesting change in the mentality towards gold. And I think it does create resilience, because I would expect that these physical gold investment positions tend to be much more resilient and long-term in nature. We also heard about India, where there is still very strong interest to buy jewelry. We saw the pictures today of even 7 days after the gold price locally hit all-time highs, there were still very crowded jewelry showrooms with people going in to buy gold for Akshaya Tritiya, which I think highlights how deep the affiliation to gold is in India, and I guess in the region more generally. Another thing to note in terms of market price action and market interest, platinum has been much more of a topic of conversation this conference than it has been in previous conferences, and I think it has a lot to do with the sharp rally in the platinum price in the last couple of months. So I've definitely been getting a lot more questions on platinum. And again, we saw that in the most recent session where platinum was also part of the conversation, and that there's probably going to be much more upside in prices. But in terms of I think the consensus is really the bullishness is very focused on gold, given the macro backdrop that we are currently in. There's a lot of geopolitical risk. There's a lot of macro uncertainty, and gold offers that diversification, safe haven asset for many investors. So there was a poll yesterday, I think, on where gold prices might go to by the end of the year, and I think more than half of the respondents said that it would be around 4,000. So a bit more bullish than our panel earlier. The fourth theme that I would like to highlight is on collaboration and continued dialogue. So this was a key thread among all of the, I guess, most of the sessions this conference. Cooperation across associations, SBMA, LBMA, JBMA, IPMI, World Gold Council. So, and where Silver Institute, so where there's a lot of opportunity to continue the dialogue and bridge the gaps, globally. There's also, a lot of room for collaboration and dialogue across regions. So, U.S., Asia, Middle East, and then at the end of the day, we are one industry, and it is our responsibility to kind of create a roadmap for the future, and also to uphold the industry's reputation and increase trust to continue sort of getting all this investor interest in our industry. That brings me to the last, I guess, key theme, and that is that there is a lot to look forward to. There are a lot of conferences to look forward to as well. So we had the invitation from Ruth yesterday to the LBMA conference in Kyoto, and I hope to see a lot of you there. There was also an invitation for me to get involved with the Women in PGM's mentorship program. So I hope a lot of you will sign up to that. Then obviously next year's SBMA, where hopefully you won't have me doing the summary and we'll have AI instead. I have to say, Vatsa said that it was very difficult to be in every session taking down notes. I think the most difficult part was actually doing it in freezing conditions and having my fingers frostbitten as I was writing down notes. So I hope everyone had a good conference and have a good day ahead.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.